Claire Bennett was 30 years old when she realized that loneliness could become a habit. Not a dramatic loneliness. Not the kind people noticed. Her loneliness was quiet and organized. It folded blankets neatly. It washed dishes immediately after dinner. It answered coworkers with polite smiles and spent evenings reading beside a lamp that flickered softly in the corner of a tiny apartment. Claire lived in a small mountain town called Willow Creek, a peaceful place surrounded by pine forests and narrow roads that disappeared into the hills. Tourists visited during winter for skiing and during autumn for the orange and golden trees. But for the people who lived there year-round, life moved slowly. Too slowly sometimes. Claire worked at a local bakery on Main Street. Every morning she woke at 4:30 before sunrise and walked through cold streets while the town still slept. She opened the bakery alone most days. She liked the silence before dawn. The smell of bread filled the kitchen while soft jazz played from an old radio near the ovens. Claire mixed dough, arranged pastries in glass cases, and brewed fresh coffee before customers arrived. People liked her. They called her sweet. Reliable. Quiet. But nobody really knew her. At 30, most of her friends were married or engaged. Social media was full of baby photos, anniversaries, family vacations, smiling couples holding hands beside lakes and Christmas trees. Meanwhile, Claire returned every night to an apartment with only one toothbrush in the bathroom. One plate on the dinner table. One pillow untouched beside hers. Her mother called every Sunday evening. "You work too much," her mother always said. Claire smiled weakly into the phone. "Someone has to pay rent." "But are you happy?" Claire never answered honestly. Because she didn't know. Some days she thought she was fine. Other days the silence in her apartment felt so heavy she turned on the television just to hear voices. One snowy December evening, everything began to change. The bakery stayed open late because of the town's winter festival. Streets sparkled with lights, children ran through fresh snow, and musicians played holiday songs near the square. Claire worked alone that night after her coworker became sick. Around 9 o'clock, the bakery door opened hard against the wind. A man stepped inside carrying snow on the shoulders of his dark coat. He looked exhausted. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Older than Claire by at least 10 years. His dark hair was touched with gray near the temples, and cold air followed him into the warm bakery. "Sorry," he said quietly. "Are you still open?" Claire nodded. "For another 20 minutes. The man removed his gloves slowly while studying the pastry case. "I'll take whatever is left," he said. Claire blinked. "Everything?" A tired smile touched his face. "I haven't eaten all day." She packed boxes with cinnamon rolls, apple pie, chocolate pastries, and fresh bread while he watched silently. "You must really like sweets," she joked softly. "For tonight," he answered, "I think I do." His voice sounded calm but heavy somehow. Like someone carrying invisible weight. When Claire handed him the boxes, their fingers brushed slightly. His hands were freezing. "You should drink something hot before going back outside," she said without thinking. The man looked surprised. Then he glanced toward the empty tables near the window. "Do you close soon?" Claire nodded. He hesitated before asking quietly, "Would it bother you if I stayed for one coffee?" Normally Claire would have refused politely. But something about him felt strangely familiar. Lonely recognized lonely. So she made 2 coffees instead of 1. They sat near the window while snow fell heavily outside. The town lights glowed softly against the dark streets. "I'm Claire," she said. "Ethan." They shook hands. His grip was warm now. "You're not from Willow Creek," Claire noticed. "No. What brings you here?" Ethan stared into his coffee for a moment before answering. "I inherited a cabin near the lake." "You moved here?" "Maybe. Claire waited, but he said nothing else. He seemed like the kind of man who carefully measured every word before speaking. The bakery became very quiet around them. Only the sound of wind and soft music remained. Finally Ethan looked at her. "You work here every day?" "6 days a week." "That sounds lonely." Claire laughed softly. "It is." The honesty surprised even her. Ethan studied her face for a moment. "I understand that." For some reason, those words stayed with her long after he left. The next morning, Ethan returned. Then again 2 days later. Soon it became a pattern. Every evening around 7, Ethan walked into the bakery and ordered black coffee with 1 cinnamon roll. At first they talked only a little. About weather. About tourists. About books and movies. But slowly the conversations grew longer. Claire learned that Ethan used to live in Chicago. He had owned a successful architecture company. He had traveled constantly. Worked constantly. Lived constantly under pressure. Until one day his younger brother died suddenly from a heart condition. After that, Ethan stopped caring about business, money, or success. Nothing felt important anymore. So he sold most of his company and disappeared from city life. Willow Creek had been his brother's favorite place in the world. Now Ethan lived alone in the old cabin near the frozen lake. One night Claire finally asked the question she'd been wondering for weeks. "Were you married?" Ethan looked out the window quietly. "Engaged once." "What happened?" A faint sad smile crossed his face. "She got tired of waiting for me to love work less." Claire didn't know what to say. Because she understood both sides. Loneliness could exist even beside another person. After that evening, something changed between them. The conversations became softer. More personal. More dangerous. Claire started noticing small things about Ethan. The way he always held doors open for strangers. The way he listened completely when she spoke. The way sadness still lived behind his eyes no matter how often he smiled. And Ethan noticed things too. He noticed Claire skipped meals when busy. He noticed she pretended to be confident while secretly doubting herself. He noticed she apologized too much. One snowy night, Claire slipped while carrying boxes behind the bakery. Before she hit the ground, Ethan caught her. His arms wrapped around her instinctively. For 1 second neither of them moved. Snow fell silently around them. Claire looked up into his face. Too close. Far too close. Her heartbeat became wild. Ethan's expression changed slightly too. Like he felt it. That invisible pull growing stronger between them every day. But then he stepped back carefully. "You okay?" Claire nodded quickly. Yes. But she wasn't. Because suddenly nothing felt safe anymore. Not her quiet routines. Not her peaceful loneliness. Not the careful walls around her heart. That night she lay awake staring at the ceiling while snow tapped softly against the windows. She was falling for him. And it terrified her. Ethan was older. Complicated. Broken in ways she didn't fully understand. And yet being near him made the world feel warmer. Less empty. A week later, Willow Creek lost power during a major winter storm. The bakery closed early. Roads disappeared beneath heavy snow. Claire stood outside under the freezing wind trying unsuccessfully to start her car. Then headlights appeared through the storm. Ethan's truck stopped beside her. "You shouldn't drive in this weather," he said firmly after rolling down the window. "I have to get home." "You won't make it 5 minutes on these roads." Claire looked around helplessly. Snow was falling harder every second. Ethan opened the passenger door. "Come stay at the cabin until morning." Claire hesitated. Every smart thought in her head told her this was dangerous territory. But another part of her, the lonely part, was already tired of saying no to life. So she climbed into the truck. The cabin near the lake looked beautiful beneath the storm. Warm golden light glowed through the windows. Inside, a fireplace crackled softly while snow covered the world outside. Claire removed her wet boots near the door. "It's beautiful here," she whispered. Ethan looked around quietly. "My brother loved this place." There were books everywhere. Blankets draped across chairs. Old records stacked beside a vintage player. The cabin felt lived in. Real. Not lonely anymore somehow. Ethan gave Claire dry clothes, one of his sweaters far too large for her, and made hot chocolate while thunder rolled through the mountains. They sat near the fireplace listening to wind shake the trees outside. For a long time neither spoke. Then Ethan suddenly asked quietly, "Are you happy, Claire?" The question hit deeper than she expected. She stared into the fire. "I don't know." Ethan waited patiently. "I thought life would feel different by now," she admitted softly. "I thought by 30 I'd have a family. A home full of people. Someone who loved me." "You are loved." "Not like that." Silence filled the room. Then Ethan spoke very carefully. "You know what I regret most?" Claire looked up. "I spent years believing there would always be more time." His eyes stayed fixed on the fire. "More time for love. More time for family. More time to slow down." His voice lowered. "But life doesn't promise that." Claire's chest tightened. The storm outside grew louder. Inside, the firelight danced across Ethan's face. For the first time, she saw not just sadness in him, but tenderness. Hope. Fear. The same fear she carried herself. Ethan looked at her slowly. "Meeting you scared me." Claire's breath caught. "Why?" "Because suddenly I cared again." The room became impossibly quiet. Claire could hear her own heartbeat. Ethan stood slowly and walked toward the window. Snow covered the frozen lake outside like silver glass beneath the moonlight. "I wasn't looking for love," he admitted. "I didn't think I deserved another chance at it." Claire stood too. "You do deserve it." Ethan turned toward her. "So do you." Something broke softly inside her then. Years of loneliness. Years of pretending she didn't need anyone. Years of convincing herself quiet emptiness was enough. Tears filled her eyes before she realized it. Ethan crossed the room immediately. "Hey," he said gently. His hand touched her cheek carefully. Claire leaned into it before she could stop herself. And that small movement changed everything. Ethan kissed her softly. Slowly. Like something precious he was afraid to damage. Outside, snow continued falling across Willow Creek. But inside the cabin, warmth finally found them both.